of God. Hello, my dear friends, I hope you are well. Welcome to the new session on getting familiar with very important corona materials. Session 13. Getting familiar with important corona materials and the use of Corona AO. Introduction, getting familiar with Corona MTL and Corona Bitmap.
شروع کار من میرم یک کرونا MTL درست میکنم، نسبتش میدم به این قسمت و میرم واسه دیفیوز خودم تو بخش کرونا.
To start, I'll go to my material editor and open a Corona MTL. Kids, we're only working in this version, Corona 6, so you can get familiar with Corona MTL as well. To begin, I'll create a Corona MTL and assign it to this part. Then I'll go to my diffuse series in the Corona map section. Our first and most practical map, which we discussed in the previous session, replaces Max's standard bitmap. It's Corona Bitmap, and through it, we can load our textures. The special features or the main priority for using Corona Bitmap instead of the standard bitmap is that Corona Bitmap easily supports 32-bit maps and HDRI maps. As you know from previous versions, to load our HDRI files, we had to use V-Ray HDRI, which happened in new V-Ray versions, and they introduced the new V-Ray map called V-Ray Bitmap, which supports all 32-bit maps. In this section, we load all our maps, both 32-bit maps and standard textures, 3D textures, and our high-quality textures, into this very Corona Bitmap. Corona AO, creating dirt and environmental details. Our next map is the Corona AO map. It's incredibly powerful and professional, known as V-Ray Dirt in V-Ray, and introduced in the Corona render engine as Corona AO or Ambient Occlusion. With the help of this texture, we can create dirt in our materials. Especially on the edges of our work. Okay, I'll turn on my IPR here. We have two sections here, occluded color and unoccluded color. Let me see what mode I've set my denoiser to here. I forgot. I'll set my denoiser to NVIDIA AI. I'll also set this part to tent mode. We'll turn on our IPR. Okay, we have two sections here, occluded color or black color and unoccluded color or white color. We consider occluded color here in the material creation section as dirty areas and unoccluded color as clean areas or areas without dirt or stains. Okay, the working method is like this. Instead of black, I'll give it another color here. I'll give it red. I'll change its color. Let's say yellow. In this section, we have three formulas for creating dirt on our materials, the first one being inside mode. I'll do my work in this section. Okay, I'll assign it, and as you can see, I'll assign this Corona to it. I'll activate my IPR mode. We said that Corona AO consists of two sections, unoccluded color and occluded color, where we consider occluded color as dirty areas or areas where dirt occurs, and unoccluded color as clean areas.
توی این بخش ما سه تا فرمول ایجاد درت روی متریالامون رو داریم که حالت اولش حالت آتساید هستش. من تو همین بخش کار خودم رو انجام میدم. خب من نسبت میدم بهش و الان همونطور که مشاهده میکنید خب اینجا کرونا ایو رو من بهش نسبت میدم و حالت آی پی آر خودم رو فعالش میکنم. گفتیم که کرونا ایو از دو تا بخش آن اکلودد کالر و اکلودد کالر تشکیل میشه که ما بخش
Okay, I can change my colors here now. I'll set the occluded color to green and the unoccluded color to. In this section, I'll go. Okay, I'll assign the AO map to it. The AO map consists of two sections, unoccluded color and occluded color, where occluded color is for dirty areas, and unoccluded color is for Okay, here for example, I'll give blue for black, and for example, gold for white. Well, by changing the colors, the contrast of the work is completely evident as to which sections become dirty. Advanced settings and examples with Corona AL. Okay, from the max distance section here, I can control the depth of this dirt. Because now, for example, I set it to create dirt with this formula for approximately 15 centimeters from the edges. For example, 5 centimeters is very good for this. Well, but my suggestion is that a number alone is not sufficient here. That is, you see in front of it, you can assign a map. Just as we can now assign a map to clean areas and dirty areas here. I'll now give a map for this max distance as well, so that it doesn't create dirt in such a uniform manner. Because now this will make it obvious that. Okay, now I'll assign my map here. I'll go and select my map here with a Corona bitmap using the Corona map. The map you choose, kids, must be a mask, meaning it should be black and white. See, this issue is suitable here. You see, it's no longer uniform on these edges. I can even enlarge or reduce the tile of this mask like this. Now, if you want to see how it's controlled, you can control it from its channel here. Here, for example, I'll give a UVW map. Kids, since they're selecting a group, it's causing this delay. I'll set it to box mode, and my channel here. So, if I click this now, it should show. Yes, well, the tile is wrong here. For example, I'll now set it to the same mode, and 1 point, and I'll stop my IPR here. You've also selected these as a group, and IPR is working here. It's become really heavy. How good, I think this is fine. Well, so from this section we can assign our channel as we said, and adjust our UV on this object. Okay, I'll activate IPR. Let it be. We can even reduce it. Now, kids, we have 3 formulas here. There are 3 specific patterns that you can use to create dirt on the outside. Application of general maps continued. Now, in our classic projects, we will definitely use this map and get more familiar with it. From these sections you can, for example, let me slightly increase this. See, for example, give it a strong directional effect towards a specific axis. For instance, in the x-axis, in the y-axis, I'll say that the dirt should go towards the y-axis. I'll reduce it now. Kids, the more randomness and irregularity in such material creation, the more natural our work will look. Here, instead of 2 colors, I'll use textures. Okay, see, now I'll go to the clean areas. Hello. I'll assign this. Okay, I'll tell it to reduce its default as well. Now for our unoccluded areas. For example, another texture. Of course, it can't have tiles, for example. Try it. See in these sections, its name is dirt, for example. You can be creative yourself. So, use its other options as well. Now you can go here, for example, from between these concrete-like forms. Tree leaves can give it a special effect here. Good. Or you can even, for example, instead of doing this, see, I'll delete this now. I'll delete the leaf map. I'll copy this itself. I'll take it inside ColorCorrect. I'll click Keep. I'll make it darker. It can have a very good effect on its own. The material itself, slightly darker. Which we assign to the edges. It's as if a slightly dark state and exactly ambient occlusion occurred in it. Sit tight. Now you can also use this as a mask in CoronaNTL. We'll mention it in later sessions. Okay, I'll delete this. Corona color map, color map. Let's go to our next material, Corona color. This is the same color as Max's own. You can use a specific color. Now you might ask, well, I'll assign it to diffuse, right? No, it's not used this way in diffuse. For example, it's used like this. We said you give a total mix. Well, here for example, you come and give a color to the template here, Corona color. You give a color somewhere. Here for example, you give a texture. We combine the color and texture together. Corona normal map and Corona bump converter. Prominent details. Okay. Our next map is Corona bump converter. Well, kids, as we told you in the first session, to create our bump, the best method for creating bump is to use the Corona normal map. Corona normal is for loading the normal material map itself, from which we can get the best bump quality from normal. Okay, here for example, I've now assigned this to it. Let's create a material together, and I'll explain its bump here. Well, for example, I'll assign this to my diffuse. With what? And for bump, I'll select a Corona normal. Well, it has two sections. Here, we assign the normal map itself to this section. Well, there's a section in the lower part for viewing micro bumps. It's used here. For example, if you need very small bumps, you can also use a black and white map here, or the bump that is in PBR materials and PBR textures, in this section. Okay, here I'll select a Corona bitmap in this section and load the normal here. Well, let's see how it turned out. I'll click the gamma checkbox, so its gamma is fixed. Well, now if we look here, it has provided its own bump. Yes, default bump. It's also become bump. So we assign it to this section, and we see that its micro bumps are also placed here. Okay, now I want to take a render and see the result. Well, before you take a render, kids, let them see if you have an element here. No. Here's normal shading element, and that's it. I'll add this normal shading here. I'll take a render so we can see the effect of normal separately. See, it's completely clear here what a great help normal bump was to our work here. Well, I'll leave it in PV, photo visual mode. Excellent. Now we can also increase its intensity, as we said, from this section. Now, for example, I'll set this to 1.5. From this section, for example, I'll click its bump and paste it. IPR. Now we said that bump and displacement operations now bother IPR, but here it's completely visible. Now, its intensity doesn't need to be that high. I think 15 or so should be enough. Okay, I'll delete this now. Enhancing bump with Corona bump converter continued. Okay, assuming we didn't find the normal for this here. With the help of Corona Bitmap, I'll load its own bump. Now you see that nothing significant happened to it. It even made the work a little worse now. I'll reduce its intensity. Sometimes you see that its texture is PBR here now. It has had its effect. In some cases you see we make bump black and white ourselves. For example, and no matter how much you increase its value here, it doesn't have much effect on it. Here, sometimes you can convert this bump of yours to a bump converter. I'll also click Keep. You see, you can enhance bump in several stages. You can even increase or decrease its blur state. I'll reduce it. Its detail will really pop out. I'll put these temporarily. The computer shouldn't get tired either. We've learned 2 maps, or I think. These are now whenever we get tired. Hit Movies in Imagination. Corona ColorCorrect, comprehensive color and light editing tool. Okay, let's continue with Corona maps. Let's go to the highly useful Corona ColorCorrect map. Okay, here I'll click Keep so my previous map stays inside. Okay. From this section we can have complete access to editing the color of our texture. Well, you see I've assigned my main texture, that same albedo or diffuse, to this section. And now from this section, I can increase or decrease my brightness. I can increase the brightness of my texture, and I can even give it contrast. You see, the more I increase the contrast, the more contrast and darkness appear in my work. With the help of the saturation option, I can remove color from it, or increase its color intensity. With the help of hue, I can inject color into it. For example, now I'll move this towards negative or positive. You see, the color of the leaves completely changed with just this one hue option. Well, it doesn't apply to all projects. In these specific projects where you want a color change, or even the very important gamma option, which we can control the darkness and brightness of our texture best through this gamma. The next option is temperature. With the help of temperature, we said we can change the color temperature of our texture. And the more it goes above 6,500, this map gets a warm tone, and the more it comes below 6,500, it gets a cold tone. Now, 1,500 means pure white. And through this option, we can also increase or decrease the greenness of our work. We have the invert option here, which is extremely useful. Now, it doesn't give a significant result in this texture. But for example, in black and white textures, you can easily swap white and black with one click. Like this. And we can even control our exposure. And these are among the unique features of Corona ColorCorrect. This is not only for textures, you can also, when you load your HDRIs with the help of this, give it a gamma calibration and control the exposure of your HDRI. Perhaps we can even assign a specific color here. And guys, you can even give it LUT. We'll discuss the topic of LUT in the post-production section with the help of Corona's own frame buffer. I personally choose from Corona's own LUTs. You see, it's like a ready-made preset. You can assign a specific color theme here. It's like having a small Photoshop inside Corona here. Then you can also manipulate the curve. Corona Bitmap, Advanced Texture Loader. I'll close it and delete it. The next map I want to introduce to you is Corona Bitmap, which we said is more practical and better than the standard bitmap. And we said you can easily load 32-bit maps with the help of this Corona. Here, for example, I'll come and select one of the textures. It doesn't matter. If you place these exactly in their channels, you will get such a result, which is called physical-based rendering. Rendering based on physics will have no choice but to appear realistic when interacting with real light. Okay, I'll take this into ColorCorrect. I'll click Keep. I'll reduce its color and increase the gamma to create our reflection, for example. Now, a tree leaf doesn't have much reflection. You just want to see how easily you can perform my simulations with the help of these simple techniques. I'll also reduce its blur image. Corona Mix Map, powerful layer blending. Okay, kids, I think there's a problem here. Let's let both of them go. Now let's take this into color mix. Until when? And here, we'll get familiar with the excellent Corona Mix Map. Okay, kids, look, Corona Mix consists of 2 layers, top layer and base layer. In your first layer you can assign that texture, your main texture, to this part with the help of Corona Map, or any other map. It's somewhat similar to the composite we worked with in the previous session, but its features are more complete. You see, it has intensity, it has multiply, it has separate contrast. And in addition to these, it has another miraculous option. In this upper part, you can also give it a map to combine these two with the help of this map. And we have a full-fledged professional blend mode along with its intensity and amount here. And this will make you needless of creating all professional materials. Here let me, for example, combine 2 textures together. For example, I'll go to the grant section. Well, this had a physical material. I'll select it. Okay, so for the next layer, kids, we just need to choose a texture that allows these to blend. Let's see, I've added this leaf here. Well, the first thing we need to do now is change its blending mode. I said we have to test it. See which one works. We said these are not to be memorized. You have to try them one by one to see which one leads to a specific result. Because this isn't a black and white map where I can say, for example, put screen or multiply. Their combination now isn't that appealing. It's like we've combined stone and a leaf. I'll go and change this because we need to give something that matches. You can't combine 2 completely opposite things. Here, for example, let me choose a marble. This one. For now. This is for the base layer. Now for my next layer, I need to choose a stone that doesn't have too many veins, as I want to place these veins on top. I'll select the diffuse texture. Its veins are few. Okay, its color is also okay. Okay. Now, with the help of these blending modes, we can combine these 2. Let's see which one works. Well, this color isn't bad. This is good. Screen mode. Screen works here. Here, we can adjust the intensity of our texture layers. I'll increase this a little. Its contrast. It turned out very well. You see, it's as if our background is white stone, and the second layer we chose, its veins appeared on the work. And to this, recording error, since I don't see the mix amount button, see, it's empty. Well, when you set it to 0, it's as if it's not mixed. When you set it to 100, it's completely mixed. And 50 is 0.5. Kids, I just saw a map, for example. I can now give it fall-off. Well, we said fall-offs are not just for creating fabric. You see, it's as if you observe a depth inside the work, where from the front, it has a black and dark appearance, and from the sides, when you look at it, it has a white appearance. Now I can also touch it. We said it's our choice. We can pull this apart. I'll add 2 points to it. I'll place the points, and now I can manipulate my graph. Well, just these guys. Since it's marble, fall-off is not very effective here. We can put a stronger map. Unless it created this line. In metals, such combinations, for example, fall-off, worked. This can give it roughness, for example, a roughness map. Well, so that it gradually has a faded appearance. And roughness is very good. You see, it gives an excellent effect to your work. Now, our texture is gradually getting a faded appearance, and these small details, kids, make your work natural and realistic. Otherwise, in the first state, we could have stopped working and said that our work is ready. Well, the more you play with these, the better results you will get, and this is a matter of preference. Okay, now I can also give it a texture. Instead of this, I said I'll give it a dirt texture. For example, I'll go to the dirt map folder. Scratch. Okay, For example, a thought, another work. That same one is okay. I'll select it suddenly. I'll apply its texture. I'll play with its intensity. Here, I think it was fill amount, blend amount. You change it. You see the whole story changes. Now it completely combines and mixes the black and dark areas together. And kids, this is excellent. I'll increase its intensity. You see its effect. Now, let's play with the intensity of these two. Let me try to see what other maps. AO was also very good. Color dodge is a slightly harsher version than overlay, but it can work here. Final diffuse settings and continuing work. Okay, now that our work is done, I'll take this Corona mix into Corona ColorCorrect. Why do I do this? I'll click Keep. Now I can, for example, reduce its brightness. The amount of light of my material will also decrease. I'll enhance the gamma. I'll take it from there. Aha, it turned out very well. I'll reduce the color a little. A little contrast. Excellent. And this easily, with the help of two stones, we were able to create a good professional stone. Kids, these stages we just did were only for the diffuse channel. Diffuse is currently only in the diffuse channel. We need to create reflection, refraction, and these other elements again. Perhaps for kids who are just starting, it might not be that much. See here, I can save the material I created, and I'll go to slate mode. Well, with the help of the eyedropper, I'll invoke it here. Introductio to Slate Material Editor. Now we'll also discuss Slate, because those who know me know that I'm used to working in compact mode. Okay, now to save these, I'll select all of them. Okay, I'll close these. Okay, I'll right-click here. See New Material Library. Okay, I'll save it as, for example, Graph Save. Okay, now the exclusive graph library has been created. Now it says, add whatever you like. Get all selected materials from scene means add the selected material from the scene here. And the last thing you do is click Save once from this section. It's done. You can take it anywhere, even to your friend's computer, and it will be available with these exact specifications. Of course, you need to set up the paths. If you take it to another PC, if it doesn't show here just once, instead of save as, this time it shows load. You click load, the material will be loaded. And here you can easily put in the effort once to create your own exclusive library and use it in your projects in the best way. And rest assured that no material library with these features and this detail will give you materials. You're forced to create them yourself. The importance of custom material creation. We mentioned pre-made materials. Now, let's gather the complete ones. Well, one doesn't become all of them. So, here we can beautifully use PBR materials with the techniques I told you about. Otherwise, if we wanted pre-made materials, you see how high quality they are in Corona's asset library. Now, in its 7th version, it's in the testing phase, and PBR materials are going to be added to our material library. And I think this will make our work completely easier and more professional, provided we don't get lazy. We said, learn material creation completely. Later, when you understand, what are the steps, how are these created, you can easily use these types of libraries, whether from Corona's library or CGSX's library. In previous sessions, we learned good techniques. Now, I told you the practical ones. You yourself should exactly put those. Watch the videos several times. Change the placements. For example, for its mix, I gave a fall-off map there. You can give another map. Another texture. For example, instead of marble, combine two woods together. Exactly, because if you do the same thing I do, your mind will develop a conditional state. So, try to diversify yourself as much as you can. My own method of learning is to watch the tutorials once in a series, then I say, from my own perspective, From my own understanding of that tutorial, I'll come and implement material creation, or whatever topic I've learned. Corona Multi-Map, managing multiple textures. Let's go to our tutorial. Well, I'll assign a Corona MTL here. The next map we want to learn together here. We learned the mix map, we learned normal. What remains is the Corona Multi-Map method. It makes us independent of all sorts of plugins like CGSX and multi-texture and these things, and we can easily put a different ID in each channel texture. Well, the working method is like this. Instead of assigning it to the sphere here, I'll hide it. Let's create a floor generator together here. You're completely proficient with stairs now. We've worked on them both in modeling courses and in the course on working with these wooden planks. Okay, I'll draw a 2D object. I'll assign the floor generator modifier to it. I'll make the length of the plank smaller. Sure. I'll close it like this. They control its UV. I don't want it that much anymore. I'll assign this to it now. Good. Well, now we see that we have several different colors here, and in front of it, an amount for me. Material ID means that these each get an ID. Meaning each of these woods has a different ID. Well, see, I'll make this a computer-generated pattern. See, this is 133 and 130 and 180. Each one is an ID. These will be precisely distributed randomly in this ID. Well, so I'll come here to Corona Bitmap. Now we need to find a texture that has a tiled appearance. From before CGSX itself. This too, for example, you see, they select this, and now it has precisely distributed it among all of them. Why? Because we gave only one. We need to add more of these. 2, 3. We need to give them one by one like this. But this is a long and time-consuming process. It has given us a path here. Sir, if you have a specific path in mind, introduce it to us here. I'll copy this path and paste it in this section. Now I'll tell them all to wait for them to load. Don't you see? It completely adopted a random state in this way. Test render and final settings. Now it also has other formulas. Let me, kids, activate something. Let IPR render here. Let's see what's happening to the result. Oh yes, I know. Tiling like this. They put it there. Why didn't it show? Let me activate my light mix. Let me see. Let me see what's wrong with it. It's insulting. The map wasn't loaded there. I'll go from this section and load my HDRI address. I'll put it in the address. And now this should load here. Yes, it's loading. Now we can render. Okay, I'll set Start Interactive to Tent mode. We'll also set it to Start Interactive mode. As you can see, it has completely and professionally distributed these randomly here. Now we don't even need a UVW map. Kids, the features of this map are amazing for us. Okay, now here, the color doesn't change anything. You can change its color. It doesn't make much difference, because this color only brings less here. Well, let's see what difference its next options make. I'll put it here. Advanced Corona Multi-Map Settings. You see, primitive, and its entire model changes. You have to test it yourself. Kids, each has its own algorithm. It's totally like this. I don't think this is interesting here. It became repetitive because we don't have different IDs. They all have one ID. An ID gives the best result. We can even assign IDs through vertex color, but here, since our vertex color or vertex alpha is not set up, you see it doesn't come out well. I think element might be okay too. Yes, element also gave us a good result. Okay, its next options, kids. You can create randomness in its hue. Meaning you can randomly increase its color by a percentage. You see, it has a specific application. Now, if the redness bothers me here, a little gamma. But gamma is very useful here. In most renders of foreign projects, you see their parquets are never uniform. Their contrast, some parquets have a random contrast like this, with varying degrees of darkness and lightness. This helps a lot in making our work realistic. Well, I'll lighten my scene a bit. See how excellent it turned out. Okay, and here we also said you can change your random mode, which tells the planks, for example, go here, go there. If you ever see that your random mode isn't what you want, you can easily play with this seed from this section. You can even, kids, control your blur globally. It's a truly amazing option. For this, I remember there was a separate script that, for example, would set the entire blur to 100th automatically. But here, you see, blur at its minimum possible state, or for example, increase its amount. You see, it gets blurred, but try to keep it as low as possible. Give it some wood now, I think it's okay. And similarly, we said you can create a random effect in your distribution. In the past, we used to do this with UVW randomizer and object randomization, which was a separate script. Now, all of them are built in here. Corona UVW randomizer, random UVW control. Okay, that's done. The next map we want to learn is the Corona UVW randomizer map. Well, kids, I'll now take this into Corona UVW randomizer. Let me turn on my IPR. We said we've distributed it randomly now. You now want this to be randomly offset in these directions. I don't know for its UVs. You see, it updates precisely here. You can say, for example, offset by 390 degrees. How many is it? In UV, for example, offset so that location and rotation I don't think will be useful for us. See, it ruins the direction of the planks. Well, it didn't turn out bad. Okay, hit instance to material ID scale mode. This same scale, and I'll say, for example, it should be 30% to 300% larger or smaller. I've already set a limit here. You shouldn't overdo it. I can also set its tile mode. Excellent. And now we've managed to create a plank part that doesn't even have a random direction. Here, you also have seed, or you can again change its step mode. Its primitive mode is also good, concave, which I don't want now. I think element might be okay too. See how well element offsets these. This alone, I tell you, is a revolution. In the old days, we used to struggle to render these. You would have to manually give UVW map to each of them as if, for example, if there was no script or this Corona UVW randomizer. Then, you would attach them. Then we would say that each separate UV should again have a rotation offset. But these problems are easily and excellently managed with the help of these options. You can even use it alone. For example, now I'll delete this. Let me make a copy of this. One of these copies. I think I have a texture now. I'll delete this. Well, you see, now we only have one. Well, but it has distributed a random texture. Now, for its magnification, you shouldn't test anymore. I don't want its direction to rotate. I only want it to be offset so that we know what we can do with one texture. Each one is different. We said, kids, play with these. I can't tell you, for example, in an exercise to put this number here, this is good. In every scene, it's definitely different. You need to understand its options, what's what. Each has a specific and attractive formula that can be placed in our scene. And this is the art of the 3D artist to determine which one is useful where. Its intensity can also be to its fill. See, its wildness. Okay. This is also from Corona UVW randomizer. Corona triplanar, UVLS mapping. Kids, I'll delete this. I'll create a Corona MTL again. Sometimes it happens that, for example, you've created a building. This building consists of several separate pieces, several different elements. For example, a building facade consists of a collection of facade stones, I don't know, stucco work and various other constituent parts of the facade. It's a difficult task for you to give them UVW map one by one. Corona has solved this problem. Corona triplanar, unique, powerful, and completely practical. We want to learn Corona triplanar together. I'll assign this. I'll come here and currently give a normal Corona bitmap for my marble in one step. Let's see how the result turns out. Let me see how its amount turned out. Let me go. See how it turned out? This uniformity of the shape. We're not concerned with this. We said what we were. Our map was UVW randomizer. Who was this? Our problem now with UVW map is this. We can't tell them one by one. Sir, I'll give each piece a separate element. You can now take this Corona bitmap you have, and in the form of Corona triplanar, I'll check its box and load it. And you see this box must be checked. It says, okay, now I'm also in local axis, and here you can generally say, sir, for example, my UVW time wants to be a total of 3 meters. It will automatically calculate all of them as 3 meters overall. Come on, I want it to be 2 meters. Well, now if you want to offset it on specific axes, your story is open here. Here, edge is the same UVW mat. You can also give it rotation. I don't think rotation will be useful for us here. Here too, we have different formulas. In vertex base, you see the answer. Try to use this for everything you've created, like a stone, knowing that you'll use it in different places and the scale is almost the same. You definitely have no other way. It's like, okay, we have reached the end of this session, and we covered all the important points. Be sure to practice and repeat these features so that you are prepared for the next session. I am Behrouz Bigham from the Architecture and Graphics Simulation Studio. Have a good day.